Don't panic before the JLPT. Hi, I'm Tyra from Nihongo no Mori. Here we're doing a 1-hour N3 grammar summary video. Let's go. I love Yuka Sensei's videos. Wish they had N1 level. Wait, they have N1, 2, and 3 on the Nihongo no Mori app? And at nihongonomori.com? For just 1,480 yen a month, I can see all of them?
電話お願いします。
I'm not here.
いやいや、対応お願いします。
No, I don't know how to answer the phone. I just can't. There's videos for that too? There's even Kansai Ben. What have I been doing with my life?
それより電話。
Study now. Talk later. First we have say. So say is how you say something's fault, right? Because of something, because of some cause, something bad happened. So you're blaming that thing. So here we have 電車が遅れたせいで遅刻しました. It was the train's fault that I was late, right? Because the train was late, that is what caused me to be late. Next we have おかげ. So this means thanks to. It's like the opposite of say. So you're saying, instead of it's somebody's fault, you're saying it's all thanks to that. It's all thanks to this thing, right? So here we have 先生のおかげで目標を達成することができました. Thanks to my teacher, I was able to achieve my goals. Next we have もの. So this is when we're using もの to mean like, it's because this. So, そんなに食べられないよ。お腹いっぱいだもの. I can't eat that much because my stomach is full, right? So this is the reason. So we're like, this is what we're saying, and then after we're giving the reason and saying もの points out that this is the reason. Next we have ため. So in this case, we're using ため to give a reason for something. For example, because I'm busy. So here we have 忙しいためゲームができません. Because I'm busy, I can't play games. Next we have のだから. So this is very similar to just から on its own. It means because. So せっかく学校の近くに来たんだから先生に会いに行きましょう. We're already near the school, so let's go visit our teacher. Next we have おきかけに. So this is how we give the reason that some kind of change happened, right? It's like ever since this special event, or ever since, this happened, something became something. It's like the cause, the trigger. So here we have 日本のアニメを見始めたことをきっかけに日本語の勉強を始めました. Ever since I saw anime for the first time, I started studying Japanese. Next we have わけだ. This is because or that's why. It's when you give the reasons for something and then at the end you say, oh, so that's why this thing is true. Here we have 彼は3年間日本で働いたことがあるそうだ. 日本語が上手なわけだ. So apparently he worked in Japan for 3 years. So that's why he's good at Japanese. Next we have 以来. This means ever since. So ever since this change, this event, something has stayed the same, right? So here we have 病気になって以来、お酒は飲んでいません. Ever since I got sick, I don't drink anymore. So this is the catalyst that caused the change, and then this is the continuous state. Next we have によって. So this is when we're saying that because of a certain event, because of a certain change or catalyst, something has stayed the same. So here we have 子供が生まれたことによって考え方が変わった. Ever since I had kids, my way of thinking has changed, right? So having a child was the cause of the change, and that thing that changed has stayed the same ever since. Next we have mama. So this describes when you do an action and it stays in that state. It's like you did that action and you left it that way, and then you do something else. So here we have テレビをつけたまま出かけました. So this is, I left the TV on when I went out, right? It's like, oops, I left it on. Like, I forgot to turn it off, so it remains in that on state. It's still on even though I am not watching it. Next, we have つつ. This describes while we do one thing, we do another thing. 周りに気をつけつつ作業を進めましょう. So while being mindful of our surroundings, let's continue our work. Next, we have totomoni. So this describes that as one thing happens, another thing also happens. So here we have, as one thing starts, another thing starts. So here we have, 試合が始まるとともに、観客が応援を始めた. So as the game starts, the spectators start cheering. Next, we have tsutsuaru. That means gradually becoming, or something is gradually happening. It's like a gradual process. So, 地震で壊れた建物が直りつつある. So the buildings destroyed in the earthquake are gradually being fixed. Now we have ba hodo. So this is, if you're going to do this thing, then do it as much as possible. So here we have, 本は読めば読むほど役に立ちます. So this is, if you're going to read books, then read a lot, because they'll come in handy, right? So if you're going to do the action of reading, then read as much as you can. Next, we have に従って. So this is, if you do this thing, something will gradually change. So here we have 運動するに従って、どんどん元気になってきた. So this is, after I started exercising, my health got better and better, right? So we start doing this, and then this gets better and better. Next, we have ばかり. So in this version, it's when we're talking about something that just gets worse and worse, right? It's like, it's all downhill from here. So here we have, 仕事が増えるので、忙しくなるばかりだ. So work is piling up, so I'm just getting busier and busier, right? It's just getting worse and worse. Next, we have として. So this means as blank, or as a blank, right? So as a mother, as a friend. Here we have, リーダーとしてみんなの意見を聞く. As a leader, I listen to everyone's opinions. Next, we have にとって. So this is how you talk about somebody's point of view. So it's like, to this person, this means this. Here we have, この仕事は彼にとって大きな挑戦です. To him, this job was a big challenge, right? So this job is to him, right? So this is the person that we're talking about how they feel about the thing. Next, we have に基づいて. So this means to base on or to use as a guide. So we're using what comes before as an example for us to then do something else. So here we have, ゆか先生のアドバイスに基づいて勉強していく. I study using Yuka sensei's advice as a guide. Next, we have を中心に. So this is to treat this thing as the core of, right? So here we have, この映画は家族愛を中心に作られています. So this movie's core is familial love, right? The movie was made with the theme of familiar love at its core. Next, we have 通り. So this means exactly as. So exactly as written, or exactly as I was told. メモに書いてある通り買ってきました. I bought it just like the memo said to do. Next, we have という. So this means a something called something, right? So it's, this is what it's called, and this is what kind of thing it is. So here we have, 浅草という地域は観光客に人気です. The area called Asakusa is popular with tourists, right? So the area, and it's called Asakusa. Next, we have に対して. So this means when it comes to, or with regard to, a certain group of people usually. Usually you're talking about people and how they think or feel about other people. So here we have, お客さんに対して失礼なことをしないように注意しましょう. With regard to customers, let's be careful to avoid being rude to them. Next we have について. So this is about this thing. その映画についてどう思いますか? What do you think about that movie? Right? 映画について. Next we have に関して. So this is when it comes to or with regard to the details of something, right? So it's about this thing, and then you go on to describe it. Here we have わからないことに関して調べながら勉強しています. When it comes to things I don't understand, I look them up while studying. Next we have わけではない. It means it's not that, it's something else, right? So it's not that. 納豆が嫌いなわけではないんですが、美味しいと思いません。It's not that I hate natto, but I don't consider it delicious. Next, we have nagara. So this version of nagara is talking about explaining the circumstances under which you did something, right? So it's like, although it was something, something happened. Or while something went on, something happened. So here we have, たくさん注意をされながら完成させました。Though we received many warnings along the way, the project was completed, right? So these are the conditions under which the thing happened. Here we have 代わりに. So in this version, what we're talking about is like sort of like, what's the word? Like cost and like return. So it's like in exchange for something being good, there's also something bad. Or in exchange for something bad, there's also something good. So here we have, この魚は新鮮な代わりに少し高いです. In exchange for the freshness of the fish, it's a bit more expensive, right? So here we have the freshness is the good thing. And so that's like our return. And the cost, the price to pay for the freshness of the fish is that it's a little expensive, right? So we got the good and we got the bad. Next we have 한는. Now, here we translate it as on the bright side, on the dark side. But basically what it means is, this thing has this one face to it. It has one side, but it also has a different side, right? They're multifaceted. They have multiple sides to them. So here we have, 彼は勉強が得意な反面、運動は苦手です。On the bright side, he's good at studying, but unfortunately, he's bad at exercising, right? So it's like he has this positive quality, but he also has a negative quality. Next, we have 用がない. So this means there's no way to do blank. Here we have これだけ勉強してもできないなら勉強しようがない. So if you study that much and still can't do it, then there's no way to learn it, right? There's just no way to study it. Next we have がたい. So this means it's difficult to do something, right? It's like it's hard to imagine or it's hard to pull off. So here we have 今までの経験はお金には代えがたいものだ. It'll be difficult to turn my experience up till now into a way to earn money. Next we have ずに. This means without doing, right? It's very similar to ないで, like something をしないで何々をする, right? So without doing this thing, we did something else. So here we have 電話をかけずにメールで連絡しました. I contacted them through text without making a phone call. Next we have はずがない or わけがない. So this means it can't possibly be that, or it's definitely not, right? So whatever comes before here, for whatever reason, we're saying that can't be true. So here we have, 3回も洗濯したんだ。汚いはずがない. I washed it 3 times. It can't possibly be dirty, right? So because you have this background of, I already washed it, there's no way it can possibly be dirty. Next we have くらい. This means as if or like. So this is when you're making like a simile. You're saying like, oh, it was as if I could fly. It was as if I could scream, right? So you're making sort of an exaggerated statement by like comparing the way that you're feeling to some other like thing. Like here we're saying like, I was so hungry it seemed like I would die, right? So we know that we weren't actually going to die, but we're using this kind of poetic device to exaggerate how we're feeling. So here we have 死にそうなくらいお腹が空いた. I was so hungry it seemed like I would die. Okay, next we have ほど. So this is very similar to くらい in that we're using it to sort of speak in like an exaggerated way about how we're feeling about something. So, it was so bad I wanted to cry, or like it was so bad I was gonna die, or something like that, or it was so great I could fly. We're coming up with like poetic like analogies to describe the way that we're feeling. So we say, it was like this thing. So here we have, 叫びそうになるほど嫌なことがあった. So I had such an unpleasant experience that I felt like I was going to scream. Next, we have darake. So this means there is something everywhere. It's all somethings. It's turtles all the way down. It is all this thing. It's all over the place, is what it means. So here we have, 会議のために作った資料が間違いだらけだった。The materials prepared for the meeting had mistakes all over them. Next, we have yasui. So here we attach it to a verb to say that that verb, that thing, is easy to do, right? So here we have, 彼女の説明はとてもわかりやすい。Her explanations are very easy to understand, right? So the thing that's easy to do is to understand. Next, we have hazu. So this means it's definitely this, right? So we have very good reason to believe that something is true, or something will be a certain way. So here we have, 彼は時間通りに来るはずですよ. He'll definitely come on time. Next, we have 図にはいられない. This means I can't not do, right? It's a double negative. So I can't not means I absolutely have to. I need to, right? So I feel like I have to do this thing. So here we have, 汚い部屋を見たら片付けずにはいられない. When I see a messy room, I can't not tidy it up. Next, we have 暗いはない. So this is how we say there's nothing as blank as blank. So there's nothing as beautiful as a pony, you know? This is where the description goes, and this is where the thing goes. So here we have, ご飯の時間くらい幸せな時はないです. There's nothing as joyful as mealtime, right? So we're saying joyful is the thing that we're saying there's nothing as joyful as mealtime, right? Our descriptor, our thing that we're talking about. Next, we have made. So this version of made means that even something. So it's like somebody can do this, but they can even do that, right? We're adding on. We're like, it goes as far as this great, you know, like it's this great. So here we're talking about 彼は英語が得意で、さらに日本語まで話せる. So he's good at English, and on top of that, he can even speak Japanese, right? So here's one good thing, but it doesn't stop there. It keeps going, right? It goes as far as he can speak 2 languages. Next, we have ほどはない. So this is very similar to 暗いはない, right? It's saying there's nothing as blank as blank. There's nothing as cool as a popsicle. Here we have 日本に東京スカイツリーほど高い建物はない. There are no buildings in Japan as tall as the Tokyo Skytree, right? So here's our descriptor, and then here is the thing that we're talking about. Next, we have て仕方がない. This means I want to do something so badly, or I want something so much, right? It's like I can't help but feel a certain way. So here we have 勉強ばかりしているので遊びたくて仕方がない. All I've been doing is studying. I want to have fun so badly, right? 遊びたくて仕方がない. I can't help but want to play. Next, we have に違いない. This means it has to be, or without a doubt, it's. So this is like, it's not wrong, which means that it is definitely right, right? This is another case of double negatives. So it is absolutely this. 彼は毎日遅くまで働いているのだから疲れているに違いない. He works late every day. No doubt he's exhausted. He is absolutely, for sure, positively exhausted. Okay, next we have 対して. So this means while one thing is one way, another thing is a different way. So here we have 今日東京は晴れなのに対して大阪では雨が降っている. While it's sunny in Tokyo today, it's raining in Osaka, right? So Tokyo is one way, Osaka is another way. Next we have どころか. This is, it's not just this, it's way worse, right? It's like, you know, what do you mean? Like, you're gonna lose your job, you're gonna die. You know, like, it's like, you think it's that? It's even worse. So here we have 車とぶつかったなら痛いどころか普通の怪我では済まない。So this is, if you get into a car crash, it won't just hurt. You probably won't make it out with only slight injury, right? You're gonna be like seriously injured is what they're saying. You know, it's not just gonna be like, ooh, ow, it hurt. It's gonna be like hospital. So that's why we get this dokoroka, right? It's like, you know, like, what are you thinking kind of thing. It's like, what do you think? It's just gonna be that easy. It's gonna be way harder. Next we have に比べて. This means compared to, right? So how we have it here is compared to this thing that comes before に比べて, this thing is, and then you say, you know, whether it's better or worse or whatever kind of comparison you're drawing. So here we have 日本の酸っぱいキャンディはアメリカのキャンディに比べてそんなに酸っぱくないです。Compared to the sour candy in the US, Japan's sour candy isn't all that sour. Next, we have garu. Now, this is what we use to describe other people's emotions, right? We don't feel the emotion ourselves, but we're looking at them and it seems like that's what they're feeling, right? We'll see things like たがっている, like they want, or 欲しがっている, it seems like they want, right? So we're using that garu to talk about other people. 彼はみんなの前で間違えて悔しがっていました. He seemed frustrated about messing up in front of everyone. Next, we have ようとする. So this is, we take the volitional form and put it before とする to mean that we try to do something. We attempt to do something. It's different from てみる, and that this is talking about like physically whether or not we can do it. You know, are we successful in the attempt or are we not? Whereas てみる is more about, oh, I'm going to try it and see whether I like it or not. It's something I've never done before. Here we have 今から勉強しようとしていました. I just tried to start studying.
I have to study more kanji. Oh, but my grammar needs work too. And reading, and listening, and...
You only need one.
Pass the JLPT with just this book? There's vocab, grammar, reading. Wow. There's even listening in here. Wait, I spent like 10,000 yen on those. Micah?
Next, we have so. So here we're saying it looks like, feels like, or seems like, right? We're observing something and giving what we think about it. So here we have なぜか彼女は最近すごく幸せそうだ. She seems really happy recently for some reason. Next, we have another version of so. So this is what we use with verbs to talk about when it seems like something's about to happen, right? You know, it's like I'm about to fall, or, you know, it's about to rain, right? We're making observations about actions that seem like they're going to occur. So here we have 机にぶつかったとき、カップが落ちそうになっていた. So when I hit into the desk, it seemed like the cup was about to fall, right? 落ちそうに. Next, we have だろう. This means probably. Here we have 明日はいい天気になるだろう. So tomorrow's weather will probably be good, right? The weather isn't something we can definitively know for sure, so we say probably. Next, we have みたい. This means it looks like or seems like something is the case, or I think something is the case, right? We're making another guess about it seems like it's probably this way. ここの道路は信号があるので安全みたいだね. This street has a stoplight, so it seems safe. Next, we have に当たって. So this is before or when. So before something happens, something else. 日本へ行くにあたって部屋の片付けをしなければならない. Before going to Japan, I have to clean up my room. Next, we have さい. So this means when something, or, you know, on the occasion of something, you know, so it's like on the occasion you come to the mall, you know, on the occasion that it rains, you know, so it's describing this circumstance. So here we have この道を通る際は足元に注意してください. So be careful when you pass through that path, right? So the occasion is when you're passing through the path, and this is what they're saying about that time. Next, we have ところに. This means you're about to do something, right? So it's like, I was about to do this. 遊びに行こうとしていたところに会社から電話がかかってきた。So I was about to go out when I got a phone call. Next we have に先立って. This means before this thing happens, I'm gonna do what's necessary for it to happen, right? I'm gonna do the necessary prep. 試験開始に先立って気をつけなければいけないことを説明します。I'll explain the important points before the exam begins. Next, we have another form of bakari. So this is saying, I just did this thing, right? I just completed that action. It just happened recently. Here we have, 新しいゲームを買ったばかりなので、今日はどこにも行きません。I just bought a new game, so I'm not planning to go anywhere today. Next, we have たところ. So this is, I just did this verb. 今、買い物が終わったところですよ。I have just finished shopping. Next, we have 旅に. So this is, every time I do this. So here we have, 実家に帰るたびに昔のことを思い出す. So this is, every time I return to my parents' home, I remember the past. So every time I do this happens. Next, we have 起きに. So this is, at every interval of time, right? So at every hour, at every day, here we have 1時間おきに少し休むようにしています. I try to take short breaks every hour. Next we have ごとに. So this is every, and it's often used to talk about, when you do something. So you'll use it very often with a verb. So you'll say here we have 買い物をするごとにポイントがもらえる. So every time I go shopping, I earn points, or I can earn points. Next, we have 間. So this means while. So it's while one thing is happening, I'm doing another thing, right? Here we have 洗濯機で服を洗っている間にご飯を作った. I cooked a meal while waiting for the laundry. Next, we have うちに. So this is similar to what we saw before with 間. So it's while something is happening, let's do something else. But it also implies that, while it's still this situation, before the situation changes, quickly, let's do this thing, right? Because this could change at any moment. So here we have, 彼が寝ているうちにプリンを食べてしまう. Let's eat all the pudding while he's still sleeping. Next we have たとえても. So this means even if. So here we have, for example, even if, this were to happen, I would still this. So here we have, たとえ誰かにバカにされても、私は最後まで諦めない. Even if someone makes fun of me, I will never give up till the end. Next we have ことにする. So this is decide to do. I decide to do this. この服はもう小さいので、捨てることにする. Since the clothes are too small to wear, I decided to throw them away. Next, we have 次第. So this means as soon as this is over, something. So here we have この仕事が終わり次第、すぐ向かいます. As soon as I finish the work, I'll be on my way. Next, we have としたら. This means if this were to actually happen, then something. Or it's good for giving examples like, oh, so if that were the case, then this. Or in that case, this. もし旅行に行くとしたら、大阪へ行ってみたい. If I were to go on a trip, I would want to visit Osaka. Next, we have 手からでないと. So this is, I cannot do blank until blank. So until this happens, or until this is over, I can't do this. テストが終わってからでないと安心できません. I can't feel relieved until my exams are over. Next, we have another form of によって. So this means depending on, or each is different. So it's like depending on the person, depending on the country. Here we have 会社によって働き方が全然違う. Each company's way of working is completely different, right? Depending on the company. Next, we have ように. So this form of ように means in order to do blank. So in order to do this thing, I do that. 仕事が休みの時は、 落ち着けるように静かな場所に行く。When I'm off from work, I go someplace quiet in order to relax. Next, we have には. This means in order to do, right? So in order to do this, I do this. 家に帰るには山を登らなければならない。In order to get home, I have to climb a mountain. Next, we have しかない. This means the only thing to do is blank. It's all there is you can do. It's the only thing, there's nothing else, right? 失敗して悔しいときは諦めないで続けていくしかない。After a frustrating failure, the only thing to do is keep going. Next, we have 他ない. So this is very similar to what we just saw before. 他 is other, and since it's 他ない, it's no other. There's no other choice but to do this. There's no other way but this. So here we have 何度注意しても試験中に話すなら部屋から出てもらおう他ない。If you're going to keep talking during the exam after being warned multiple times, I'll have no choice but to ask you to leave the room. Next, we have another form of によって. This time, we're talking about the means of which we do something. So it's either, this person did this, or using this, this will happen. 壊れている道は工事によって直される. So the broken road will be fixed by construction work. Next, we have 始める. So this is when we're saying a verb starts. So here we have 踊り始めた, right? So begin to dance. You're starting an action. So here we have 音楽が始めるとみんな踊り始めた. So once the music began, everyone started to dance. Next, we have ことになっている. This means it's been decided that, right? So it's now established that this is happening. So we have here, 土曜日は会社に行くことになっている. So it's been decided that we'll have to go into work on Saturday. Next, we have なくちゃ. This means have to. It comes from なければならない. なきゃいけない. なくちゃならない. And then it becomes just なくちゃ. It's used when you're speaking, not really in written language as much. So here we have 来週の海外旅行のために準備しなくちゃ. I have to prepare for my trip abroad next week. Next, we have ことはない. This means there's no need to do this. 寒いので無理して出かけることはないですよ. It's cold, so there's no need to force yourself to go out. Next, we have べき. This means you should. 不安ならしっかり準備するべきだ. If you're anxious about it, then you should prepare thoroughly. Next, we have another form of ように. This is what we used to say, please do this thing, right? Try to make sure you do this. So here we have, この道は車が多くて危ないので気をつけるように. Right? This road is filled with cars, so it's dangerous. Please be careful. Next, we have こと. So here we're saying, be sure to do this. Make sure you do that. 面接の時は元気よく挨拶をすること. When you go for an interview, be sure to greet the interviewer. Next, we have なんか. It means or something, right? It's like, you're like, oh, like, kinda like this, kinda like that. So here we have お昼ご飯にカレーなんかどう? What do you think about curry or something for lunch? Next, we have ばかりでなく. This means it's not just this, but it's also this. It's like, it's not only cool, it's amazing. Here we have この家は見た目がいいばかりでなく、住むのに便利ですね. This house doesn't just look nice, it's also very convenient to live in. Next, we have とか. This is how we list examples of things. We say like this, or like that, or like that. 仕事とか家の片付けとかすることが多すぎるよ. Between things like work and cleaning up at home, I have way too much to do. Next, we have はもとより. This means, of course, this, but also this. It's like, yes, this is like understood and expected, but also you have to do something else, or also there's something else. 漢字はもとより敬語も勉強する必要があります。Of course you should study kanji, but studying keigo is also necessary. Next we have だけでなく. This means not just blank, but also blank. この本は面白いだけでなく勉強にもなります。This book isn't just interesting, it's also informative. Next we have 代わりに. So here we have in place of or in exchange for. So in place of doing this, I'll do this. Or we have I'll do one thing while someone else does another thing, right? So it's like, if I do the laundry, you'll do the dishes. Here we have 休日に仕事をした代わりに月曜日に休みます。In exchange for working on my day off, I won't work on Monday. Next we have so. So this is how we quote something, It's like, oh, I heard from the weather report, or oh, Tim said that, So it's sort of like apparently, 明日は大雨になるそうですよ. Apparently, it's supposed to rain tomorrow. Next, we have ということだ. This is another way of quoting somebody. It's like, apparently, this is true, according to someone. So here we have, ゆか先生によると、海外での経験はとても役に立つということだ. According to Yuka sensei, it's very important to experience going abroad. Next we have 切る. Now this means to do completely. So it's like to do this action completely. なんとか試験まで勉強をやりきった. Somehow I managed to finish studying in time for the exam, right? So we completed this action fully. Next we have られる. So this is something that happens to us passively. It's like naturally we just, we were moved. We felt. It's something that happened to us without really thinking or trying for it to happen. 友達からもらったプレゼントには驚かされた. I was surprised by the present my friend gave me. Next we have だけ. So this is meant to be do as much as you can, right? And so let's look at the example to sort of see how that works. ここでは食べられるだけ食べてください. Right? So it'll be as much as possible, right? So it's the same verb will show up twice. So please eat as much as you can eat, right? So it's as much as possible. Feel free to eat as much as you can. Next we have ことがある. So sometimes it can mean, sometimes this exists. Sometimes this happens or sometimes I do this. But if it's using the past form, it'll mean I have the experience of this. So here we have 歌を歌うことがあるので家にギターがある. So sometimes I sing songs, so I keep a guitar at my house, right? So since this is in the present, it becomes sometimes. Sometimes this thing happens. Next we have ついてしまう. So this is to do without intending, right? It's like you just sort of like, you were like, oh, I'm gonna do it. 綺麗なワンピースを見つけたので、つい買ってしまった. I found a cute dress and bought it without thinking, right? It's like I just saw it and I instinctively was like, yes, here I go. There's no intention and forethought. It just happens. Next we have てほしい. So this means I want you to, or I wish you would. So this is when you're saying you want somebody to do something for you, right? I want you to do this. この手紙を彼に渡してほしい. I want you to give him this letter. Next we have なんか. So here we're expressing exasperation about the subject. In this case, we're talking about 私, which is me. So it's sort of like, me? I'm nothing. I'm nobody, right? Here we have 私なんかまだひらがなもわかりません. Me? I don't even understand hiragana. Next we have なんてだろう. So it's so, right? It's like a super emotion charged statement. It's like it was so beautiful. It was so great. Here we have 日本に来た時なんて綺麗なところだろうと感動した. When I came to Japan for the first time, I was wowed because it was so beautiful. Next we have another form of yoni. So here we're saying, let's hope that something happens. It's like, let's hope it works out. Let's hope we win. Here we have, 明日の試合がうまくいきますように. Let's hope tomorrow's match goes well. Next we have おごする. So this is a sort of verb form that we use when we want to be using humble speech, kenjogo, right? So we're lowering ourselves and raising other people. So we have here, 詳しい内容はこの後ご説明します. So you can see here that usually we'd say 説明する, but here when it becomes a humble expression, it becomes ご説明します. I will explain in detail afterwards. Next we have おごになる. So this is the polite expression to talk about other people's actions. So when it was about us and lowering ourselves, it was おごする. And now when we're talking about other people, to raise them, we're going to say おごになる. So here we have 服部先生でしたら明日のお昼にお越しになります. 服部先生 will be coming tomorrow in the afternoon. Next we have おごくださる. So this is when somebody does something for you, right? And so you're humbling yourself. So here we have お手伝いくださりありがとうございます. Thank you for helping me. Next we have おごいただく. So this is to have someone do for you, and it's also humble again. So before we saw くださる, くださる is a like keigo form, a polite speech form of くれる. Itadaku is the polite speech form of もらう. So when you say してもらう, it's you get somebody to do something for you. So this is the same thing, except you're putting it into humble form. ご理解いただき心からお礼申し上げます. I want to thank you so much for your understanding. Next we have おご申し上げる. So this is to say, or I say. You use it to lower yourself, right? Here we have とても助かりました。心からお礼申し上げます. You've been so helpful. I'd like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Next we have ございます. So this is the humble version of です or ある. So if you were to say がある, it would become がござる or がございます. And then here, です becomes でございます. So our example is こちらが私の名刺でございます. This is my business card, right? So you're lowering yourself. Next we have 手折ります. This is a humble expression for doing, right? So instead of している, like he is something something している, he is doing that, it's going to be しておる, しております. Now here we're talking about the company president, but since we're most likely talking to somebody outside of our company, we will talk about our company president more humbly, right? Because since he's part of our circle, we talk about our circle of people more humbly. So here we have 社長はただいま会議に参加しております. The boss is in a meeting right now. Next we have と申します. It means my name is, or I am, and it's a humble expression. So here we have 私は日本語の森のタラと申します. I'm Tara from 日本語の森. Next we have お目にかかる. This means to meet, and it's a humble expression. So I'm going to meet a person of higher stature, a person of higher rank. So here we have ゆか先生にお目にかかることを楽しみにしています. So I am looking forward to meeting Yuka sensei. Next we have 伺います. This is a humble way of saying to visit a person of higher rank or to ask a person. So here we have 明日の午後2時に伺いますね. I will visit at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Great job! That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck on the exam, and I'm sure you will all do great.
Shun です。この漢字はシュッシュッシュッ素早いという意味です。
帰れ帰れ오늘 공부할 거는 됐어요.
ヘイ皆さん、仕事中の電話対応の日本語を一緒に完璧にしていきましょう。はい、じゃあ早速ルールですね。
今日は一蘭というラーメン屋さんに来ました。
日本にいる人だったらこの看板を見たことがあるかもしれないですね。